Beneath a sky torn by thunder and grief, the forest breathes like a wounded beast. Rain falls in silver threads, washing over moss and broken roots, whispering prayers to the moon who hides behind clouds. In that storm a girl moves alone, Elara, the forgotten Omega, shunned by her pack and condemned to silence. Her cloak clings to her trembling frame, soaked to the bone, but she keeps walking, guided by something older than fear. Then she hears it a cry, low and raw, echoing through the pines. Not human, not beast, something in between. She follows it to a clearing where a great wolf lies dying, his silver fur matted with blood that glows faintly under the rain. His eyes, golden and burning, meet hers, and for a heartbeat she forgets how to breathe. "Easy," she whispers, kneeling beside him, hands trembling as they touch his side. His body shudders under her touch, and for a moment the storm stills. She doesn't know this creature is no ordinary wolf. She doesn't know that within his ribs beats the cursed heart of the Alpha, king, the one whose wrath burned kingdoms, and whose name the moon itself sealed in prophecy. All she sees is pain. All she feels is the pull of something ancient, magnetic, and wrong. As lightning claws the heavens, Elara tears a strip from her dress and presses it against his wound. "Stay with me," she pleads, her voice breaking like glass. The wolf's gaze softens as if he understands, as if her words mean more than comfort, as if they are command. The rain turns gentler, as though the moon watches through tears of her own. In the hollow of the storm, destiny shifts. A human heart beats for a monster, and a dying king finds the first touch of mercy in centuries. The rain does not stop, it becomes the sound of her heartbeat. Elara stays by the creature through the long night, whispering lullabies she barely remembers from childhood, her voice trembling like the leaves overhead. The wolf's breaths are shallow, labored, yet his gaze never leaves her face. Somewhere between lightning and silence, she thinks she sees his shape flicker, as if his shadow holds another form, tall and crowned by sorrow. But she blinks, and it's gone. "You're safe now," she murmurs, though she doesn't believe it herself. When dawn struggles to rise, she drags his heavy body beneath the shelter of fallen oaks, covering him with her torn cloak. The storm has passed, but the forest feels stranger now, alive with whispers she cannot name. In that silence, she notices the faint glow beneath his fur, a sigil like moonlight carved into flesh. It pulses once beneath her hand, a heartbeat that isn't his alone. For a moment the air smells of silver and blood, of something holy and doomed. She jerks her hand away, her pulse racing. "What are you?" She breathes. The wolf only exhales, a sound halfway between pain and prayer. Then, as the sun breaks through the storm's remains, she feels warmth brush her palm, his tongue, weak yet deliberate, as if to say thank you. Tears sting her eyes before she can stop them. No one has ever thanked her before. Not the pack who cast her out, not the world that forgot her name. She looks at him then, not as a beast, not as a monster, but as something meant to find her. "Rest," she whispers. "I'll keep watch." The wind shifts through the branches above, carrying a voice that isn't hers, soft, divine, dangerous. The moon does not forget what is owed. Elara shivers, unaware that the prophecy has already begun to rewrite itself in her blood dot. By the time the storm fades, the forest lies drowned in silver mist. Alara kindles a small fire from damp branches, shielding it with her hands until a shy flame stirs to life. The wolf lies beside it, eyes closed, but breathing steadier now. She studies him in the flickering glow, tracing the outlines of power she cannot explain. Every breath he takes seems to command the air itself. His fur glimmers faintly, threads of moonlight woven through darkness. She wonders what kind of life could wound something so magnificent. "You must have belonged to someone," she murmurs, her voice small in the hush of dawn. "But you're mine now, until you can stand." The words slip out before she can stop them, a promise she doesn't understand. The forest watches her, still and listening. Somewhere distant, a wolf howls a sound that chills her soul. The dying embers tremble as if remembering war. Alara hugs her knees close, gazing at the stranger she has saved, unaware that the howl she hears is for him, the lost Alpha King, whose blood commands every creature of the night dot. When morning comes, the wolf is gone. Panic lances through her chest as she searches the clearing, her bare feet splashing through puddles. The only trace left behind is the cloak she covered him with neatly folded, dry and weighted by a pendant she's never seen before. A silver crest, shaped like the moon in eclipse, hangs from its chain. As her fingers brush it, pain flashes through her visions she cannot comprehend. A battlefield soaked in rain, a throne shattering under lightning, a man with the same golden eyes as the wolf, whispering, "She will come when the rain remembers." Alara staggers back, the pendant slipping from her grip. The world tilts and burns. She gasps for air, clutching her chest, as if the vision clawed straight into her soul. Then the voice returns, faint but certain. "You have awakened what was sealed." The forest holds its breath around her. Somewhere, far beyond the mortal world, a curse begins to stir again. That night, she returns to her small cottage at the forest's edge, but peace refuses to follow. The pendant lies on her table, gleaming faintly, even in darkness, whispering like a living thing. Alara cannot sleep. Each time she closes her eyes, she dreams of him, the wolf's golden gaze, the warmth of his breath against her skin, the strange mark glowing beneath her palm. She dreams of fire and crowns, of a kingdom veiled in silver snow, of a man kneeling before the moon and begging for forgiveness. When she wakes, her body is burning. A faint crescent mark glows upon her wrist, the same symbol that burned on his chest. Panic twists through her veins, but before she can cry out, the night wind carries a voice through her window. "You shouldn't have touched him." She turns sharply only to find a figure standing in the doorway, cloaked in black and smiling like sin. His eyes are blue as frost and cruel as prophecy. "The Alpha King was never meant to be saved," he says softly. "And now, little Omega, you belong to his curse." Alara's breath catches, her pulse a storm beneath fragile skin. The stranger steps forward, the firelight painting his sharp features in shades of dusk and deceit. He is beautiful in a cruel way, every motion deliberate, every word dripping with the venom of truth. "Who are you?" she whispers, reaching instinctively for the silver pendant. His smile deepens. "A friend of the king," he replies, though the title sounds poisoned in his mouth. "Or what's left of him?" His gaze drifts to the mark glowing faintly on her wrist, and something dark flickers behind his eyes, jealousy, hunger, maybe both. "So the prophecy was right," he murmurs, circling her slowly like a wolf assessing its prey. The marked Omega who would awaken the sleeping curse. Alara retreats until her back meets the wall, her voice trembling. I don't understand. He was dying. I just wanted to help. He laughs softly, the sound hollow as an empty grave. And in doing so, you've doomed yourself. He lifts his hand, and for a moment she swears the shadows obey him. The Alpha King's curse was sealed by the moon goddess herself. His salvation was forbidden, his touch lethal to those unchosen. But somehow you lived. Do you know what that means? She shakes her head, fear and confusion warring within her chest. He leans close, his breath cold against her ear. It means you carry his fate now. Lightning flashes through the window, illuminating the anguish etched across her face. No, she whispers, clutching her wrist. I won't let it control me. The man's expression softens just slightly, but his eyes still gleam with obsession. You already have, Omega. The mark binds your soul to his. When he wakes, he will come for you, not out of love, but because the curse demands it. Then, before she can reply, he turns toward the door, his silhouette dissolving into rain. Pray, he says as the storm swallows him, that when he does, he remembers the difference. The wind howls through the cottage once more, and Alara sinks to her knees, tears lost in the thunder. Outside, far away, a wolf howls again, no longer in pain, but in longing. The next dawn arrives wrapped in silence, the kind that feels like a warning rather than peace. Alara sits by her window, eyes hollow from a night without rest, watching mist crawl through the trees like a living memory. Her hand still burns where the mark glows beneath her skin, pulsing in rhythm with her heartbeat, as if it knows something she doesn't. Every whisper of wind sounds like his voice. Every flicker of shadow feels like eyes watching from beyond the veil. She tries to tell herself it was just madness, that she imagined the stranger and his words, but deep inside something ancient hums within her blood. When she touches the silver pendant again, warmth floods her chest, and for a fleeting instant she sees him, the wolf, now a man, kneeling beside a river of stars. His hair glints silver like moonlight, his gaze the same golden fire that had met hers in the rain. He looks up as though sensing her watching, and speaks a name she doesn't remember, but somehow knows belongs to her. Alara. Her breath catches, and the vision shatters into 1,000 pieces of light. She stumbles back, gasping. The pendant falls to the floor, glowing fiercely before dimming to nothing. This isn't real, she whispers, trembling. But outside, the forest begins to change. The sky darkens too soon, and the wind carries the scent of ash and wolves. Somewhere deep within the woods, the howl returns stronger this time, commanding. It calls not to the pack, but to her. The cottage trembles as if bowing to something unseen. Then, in the distance, she sees it. A figure walking through the fog, tall, broad-shouldered, his coat dark as midnight. Each step leaves silver ripples on the wet ground, as though the world itself bends beneath his return. She doesn't move. She can't. Her pulse thrums with terror and yearning both. As the man comes closer, lightning reveals his face, those same golden eyes, that same impossible beauty, and the wound she once healed now just a faint scar glimmering under the stormlight. You found me, he says softly, voice deep and rough as thunder. Or perhaps I was never lost. He stands before her now, no longer beast, no longer legend, but something heartbreakingly human. Rain still clings to his lashes, gliding down the curve of his jaw as if unwilling to leave him. "You shouldn't have come," Elara whispers, voice breaking beneath the weight of awe and terror. He takes a step closer, the air thickening with the scent of storm and silver. "You called me," he says softly. "When you touched my wound, you spoke my name, even if you did not know it." His words vibrate through the air, more truth than sound. She can feel them beneath her skin, where the mark still burns. "Who are you?" she asks, though her heart already knows. He hesitates, pain flickering behind those golden eyes. "A monster who once ruled the north," he replies, "and a man who defied the moon herself." Lightning cuts the sky open, and for a heartbeat she sees it, the faint shimmer of his wolf form flickering around him, bound by invisible chains of light. "The curse," she breathes, realization dawning like a wound. He nods slowly. "It kills what I love and spares what I hate. When the moon condemned me, I swore never to feel again. Until you touched me." His voice fractures on the last word, raw and ancient. Elara's eyes glisten, a tear tracing the curve of her cheek. "Then let me help you break it," she says, desperate and sincere. But his smile is the saddest thing she's ever seen. "You already have," he whispers, reaching out. His hand brushes her cheek warm, trembling, almost human. "And that is why you must leave." The forest hums around them, every leaf holding its breath. She shakes her head. "I can't, you're dying." His gaze softens, and for the first time in centuries, the Alpha King looks like a man, not a legend. "No," he murmurs, voice fading like mist. "I am remembering." And with that word, thunder answers the heavens. The curse awakens fully, and the forest howls as the moon begins to rise once more. The storm deepens, swallowing sound and light until the world itself feels suspended in sorrow. Elara stands before him, soaked in rain and moonlight, her heart beating louder than the thunder. "Why would you push me away?" she demands, her voice trembling with both fury and fear. "If I was meant to find you, if fate wanted this, then why does it hurt like this?" The Alpha King lowers his gaze, his expression caught between devotion and despair. "Because fate is crueler than death," he murmurs. "The moon does not gift love without demanding a price." He steps back, his breath visible in the cold, each exhale shimmering with silver mist. "When I was cursed, I begged the goddess for mercy. She told me mercy would come in the form of a woman whose soul would mirror mine, but she would pay for my freedom with her life." Elara freezes, unable to breathe. "No," she whispers, shaking her head. "That can't be me." His eyes lift to meet hers, golden, broken, and burning. "It is you." The wind stirs, carrying his confession like a lament. "You healed me because you were the one chosen to end my torment. You carry half the curse now. When the final moon rises, one of us must fade for the other to live." Tears mix with the rain as she steps forward, defiance flickering through her pain. "Then we'll find another way. We'll break it together." The Alpha King's lips curve into a bitter, tender smile. There is no together in prophecy. He reaches for her hand, guiding it to his chest, where his heart beats with impossible force. "Do you feel it?" he asks quietly. "This pulse, it's borrowed from you. My life feeds from the bond you created that night in the rain. Her hand trembles against him, feeling warmth that burns too deeply to be human. "Then I'll gladly give it," she whispers fiercely. But his voice softens, almost breaking. "No, Ilara, you don't understand. The moment you give it completely, your heart will stop. And somewhere in the heavens above, the moon begins to weep. For a long moment, the world stands still, only rain, breath, and the sound of their hearts beating against the will of fate." Ilara stares at him, disbelief warring with the ache rising in her chest. "You speak as if I were meant to die," she whispers, stepping closer until the distance between them is only the width of a heartbeat. His gaze flickers with anguish, but he doesn't move away. "I've spent centuries killing everything I touched," he says, his voice hollow, "but you were the first thing I wanted to save." His words fall like ashes, soft and final. She lifts her trembling hand to his face, her thumb brushing the edge of his jaw. "Then let me save you again," she pleads. "Not as the cursed king, not as the beast I found, but as the man beneath it all." For a moment, something inside him breaks the armor, the centuries of loneliness, the endless winter of guilt. He catches her hand, pressing it to his lips, eyes closing as if he could hold on to this one fragile moment forever. "You don't understand, Ilara," he murmurs, voice trembling. "I'm not afraid to die. I'm afraid to take you with me." His words steal the breath from her lungs. The rain hushes, as though even the sky mourns their truth. "Then don't let the prophecy decide for us," she whispers fiercely. "If love is the curse, let it destroy us both." His eyes open, wide and shimmering with both horror and devotion. For a heartbeat, he almost smiles, like a man who has seen the sunrise for the first time. "You shouldn't have said that," he says quietly, almost reverently. The air thickens, electric and divine. The mark on her wrist flares, answering the one on his chest, binding light to blood. Above them, the clouds tremble as moonlight pierces through the storm, painting their faces in silver. Their fates seal themselves in silence. Somewhere far beyond mortal ears, the moon goddess whispers a single word: "Begin." The moon climbs higher, pale and merciless, spilling its cold light across the forest, as if searching for witnesses to their doom. The world holds its breath. Around them, shadows shift and bow. Every tree seems to hum with prophecy. The Alpha King Kale, his name finally returning to him after lifetimes of silence, drops to one knee, his hands pressed into the trembling earth. The mark on his chest burns brighter, threads of silver weaving through his skin like molten veins. Ilara reaches for him, her fear forgotten. "Kale," she whispers, tasting his name for the first time. "You're burning? What's happening?" He looks up at her through the stormlight, his voice a whisper of both agony and awe. "The bond. The moon recognizes us. You've awoken what even death could not." The ground quakes beneath them, the air thick with the scent of iron and lightning. From the shadows a howl echoes deep, mournful, ancient. Then another, and another. Wheels emerge from the mist, their eyes glowing with divine recognition. They bow, not to Kale, but to her. "They see the mark," he breathes. "You are the moon's chosen vessel. You carry her mercy and her wrath." Ilara shakes her head, tears carving paths down her cheeks. "I'm no goddess," she protests. "I'm just the one who will end this." Kale finishes softly, rising to his feet. His expression is no longer just human. There's power there, and sorrow that could crumble mountains. The prophecy was never about my curse alone. It was about yours. You were born to release me, but every release is also a sacrifice. The wind howls around them, furious and wild. She steps closer, trembling. Then I'll choose it, she says through tears. If my life can give you peace, then let it be so. Cale's voice breaks when he answers. You would die for a monster? She smiles faintly, eyes shining like broken stars. No, Cale, I would die for the man the world forgot to forgive. And as the words leave her lips, the moon burns brighter, ready to take what it is owed. The night bleeds silver as the prophecy nears its final breath. The air trembles with something divine, something inevitable. Cale and Ilara stand in the center of the forest, surrounded by the silent witnesses of the moon's chosen, the wolves, the stars, the shadows. Tell me what I must do, she whispers, her voice steady despite the terror flooding her veins. Cale looks at her as if memorizing every line of her face, every flicker of her spirit. When the moon reaches its peak, he says softly, the curse will choose. Either I return to the darkness from which I came, or it will take you in my place. His words fall heavy, like thunder trapped between heartbeats. Ilara's eyes glisten, and she takes his hands in hers. Then I will not let it choose, she says fiercely. I choose you. But the forest shudders as if rejecting her defiance. The wolves lower their heads, the wind howling in lament. Cale's expression crumbles. Ilara, you can't fight a god's design, he says, voice breaking. You are light, I am ruin. The moon will not let both exist. Tears fall freely now, but her gaze never wavers. Then let the moon take my light, she says, stepping closer until their foreheads touch. You've lived in darkness too long. Let me burn so you can see dawn again. Cale trembles, his jaw tightening as agony flashes through his eyes. You think love is sacrifice, he whispers. But love is living despite the curse. Then live, she breathes. Live for me. A single tear falls from his eye and lands upon the mark on her wrist. It glows bright as the stars ignite overhead. The moon descends, bathing them both in sacred light. Time slows. The wolves howl in one final requiem. Cale wraps his arms around her, whispering the last words he will ever say. Forgive me. Then the light explodes beautiful, blinding, and cruel. When the light fades, the forest stands frozen in reverent silence. The trees seem to bow, their branches heavy with silver frost. Cale collapses to his knees, the air torn from his lungs, his heart pounding with unbearable weight. Ilara lies motionless in his arms, her skin pale as moonlight, her lips curved in the faintest smile as if she had seen something gentle before the end. No, he breathes, shaking his head, his voice cracking into a growl. No, this wasn't the bargain. The mark on her wrist glows once, then fades into nothing. His fingers press against her pulse, desperate, trembling, but the beat that once tied him to her is gone. The forest sighs, and somewhere above the moon gleams brighter, feeding on her sacrifice. Goddess, Cale roars into the heavens, his voice raw with grief. Take me instead. Undo this. The sky answers with thunder. Silver fire erupts around him, the remnants of his curse writhing like serpents of light. The wolves bow their heads and wail a mourning chorus that makes the stars flicker. Cale cradles her against his chest, rocking gently as if his will alone could coax breath back into her lungs. "You foolish girl," he whispers, his tears falling onto her skin, glimmering like molten glass. "You were supposed to save me, not become the price." Then, amidst the stillness, something ancient stirs. Her pendant, the silver eclipse she once found, rises between them, floating in the air, spinning faster and faster. From its heart a voice emerges, soft, distant, divine. The debt is paid, but love defies balance. The light inside the pendant bursts into two fragments, one sinking into Ilara's chest, the other piercing Kale's heart. The glow binds them, a thread of moonlight connecting life and death. Kale gasps, the curse within him unraveling, spilling out into the earth like smoke. He looks down at her once more, her chest rising faintly, barely breathing. "Ilara," he whispers, a tremor of hope breaking through despair. But before he can move, the moon's glow begins to fade, and the world turns cold once more. Kale's trembling hands hover above her, uncertain whether to rejoice or fear what he's witnessing. Ilara's chest rises again, shallow but alive, her lips parting with a fragile breath. "Ilara," he whispers, his voice cracking as her eyes flutter open, no longer mortal brown, but glowing with the soft radiance of moonlight itself. For a moment she looks at him, confused and weightless, as if her soul hasn't yet returned to its place. "Kale," she breathes, her voice distant, otherworldly. He smiles through tears, cupping her face. "You're alive," he murmurs. "You came back." But as he says it, the truth begins to unfurl, a cold, divine presence rippling through the air. The wolves, once silent, lower their bodies to the ground, trembling in reverence. Ilara slowly sits up, her movements strange, deliberate. The wind bends around her as if obeying an unseen command. "The curse is broken," she says softly, her tone not entirely her own. Kale stares, realizing the voice that echoes through hers isn't just hers, it's hers. The moon goddess speaking through mortal flesh. "You interfered with fate, Alpha King," the voice declares, reverberating through the forest. "You begged for mercy and took it when it was forbidden. Now she bears what you could not." Kale's heart clenches, horror dawning. "No," he says, shaking his head. "Please, not her. Take me instead." The glow intensifies around Ilara, her hair lifting like threads of silver flame. "The balance has already shifted," the moon's voice continues. "Her soul was the cost of your redemption. She cannot return as she was." Ilara's eyes brim with tears that glow like starlight. "Kale," she whispers faintly, her own voice breaking through the divine one. "I can feel her. Inside me." He falls to his knees before her, his palms pressed to the earth. "Then I'll stay," he vows. "If you must walk between two worlds, I'll follow you into both." For the first time, the moon seems to hesitate. The light dims slightly, and Ilara's gaze softens. "You were never meant to love me," she whispers. "But you did, and now the stars must rewrite their story." The forest holds its breath as the two stand beneath the fading light, their fates now woven into something neither divine nor mortal can undo. Ilara's form flickers, her glow pulsing between life and divinity. Kale rises slowly, every heartbeat echoing her name. "You can fight it," he pleads, stepping closer, his voice breaking through the storm. "You're stronger than her. You've always been." But Ilara only shakes her head, her eyes shimmering like twin moons. "It's not strength she wants, she whispers, her voice layered with the goddess's echo. It's surrender. The moon always collects what it grants. Her hand trembles as she reaches out, brushing her fingers against his cheek. The touch is cold, but filled with unbearable tenderness. You were my salvation, Kale, and my ruin. He takes her hand and presses it to his chest, feeling the last remnants of the curse fading beneath her touch. Then let the ruin be mine, he whispers fiercely. Let me pay the debt instead. The forest shudders, light flaring between them. The goddess's voice trembles through the air, softer now, almost mournful. Would you die for her, king of wolves? Kale doesn't hesitate. I already have. The sky splits open, revealing the full moon in its cruel perfection. A column of silver light descends upon them, and the world turns silent. The wolves bow lower, whimpering as energy ripples through the ground. Elara's glow intensifies until her outline blurs, her mortal body beginning to fade. Kale, she cries, her voice breaking through the divine static. Don't let go. He pulls her close, refusing to release her even as the light burns his skin. If you go, he says, voice trembling, then I follow. The goddess's final whisper curls through the wind like a sigh. Love was never meant to survive the curse. The forest holds its breath as the two stand beneath the fading light, their fates now woven into something neither divine nor mortal can undo. Elara's form flickers, her glow pulsing between life and divinity. Kale rises slowly, every heartbeat echoing her name. You can fight it, he pleads, stepping closer, his voice breaking through the storm. You're stronger than her. You've always been. But Elara only shakes her head, her eyes shimmering like twin moons. It's not strength she wants, she whispers, her voice layered with the goddess's echo. It's surrender. The moon always collects what it grants. Her hand trembles as she reaches out, brushing her fingers against his cheek. The touch is cold, but filled with unbearable tenderness. You were my salvation, Kale, and my ruin. He takes her hand and presses it to his chest, feeling the last remnants of the curse fading beneath her touch. Then let the ruin be mine, he whispers fiercely. Let me pay the debt instead. The forest shudders, light flaring between them. The goddess's voice trembles through the air, softer, now almost mournful. Would you die for her, king of wolves? Kale doesn't hesitate. I already have. The sky splits open, revealing the full moon in its cruel perfection. A column of silver light descends upon them, and the world turns silent. The wolves bow lower, whimpering as energy ripples through the ground. Elara's glow intensifies until her outline blurs, her mortal body beginning to fade. Kale, she cries, her voice breaking through the divine static, don't let go. He pulls her close, refusing to release her even as the light burns his skin. If you go, he says, voice trembling, then I follow. The goddess's final whisper curls through the wind like a sigh. Love was never meant to survive the curse. Elara's tears fall drops of light dissolving into his chest, and as the moonlight devours them both, Kale smiles through the pain, his last words carrying through the silence. Then let love be the curse. Forever. The night shatters in silver. When the brilliance fades, the forest stands still as death. No sound, no wind, no heartbeat. Only the silver ash of what was once light drifts through the air like falling snow. The wolves, hundreds of them, lift their heads to the sky and release a single, soul-breaking howl that echoes through eternity. In the center of the clearing, there is no longer Kale or Elara only, two silhouettes carved into the earth, entwined, turned to stone by the goddess's touch. Yet from their joined hands, a faint shimmer remains, a thread of light that refuses to die. The moon hangs low, her glow pale and grieving. For the first time in centuries, even she seems unsure if she has won or lost. The forest begins to weep. The rain returns, soft and sorrowful, cleansing the ground of its divine scars. Where Elara's tears had fallen, wildflowers bloom small, white, and faintly luminescent, as though her spirit lingers there. The wolves approach in silence, circling the stone figures. The eldest among them bows its head, its fur silvered with age and wisdom, and whispers in the old tongue of the packs. The curse is bound. The love remains. Centuries pass, and the world forgets their names. The kingdom that once trembled under the Alpha King's reign becomes legend. Children speak of the moon's punishment and the girl who defied it. Some say they became constellations, the wolf and the maiden chasing each other across the night sky, never touching, never fading. Others claim that on nights when it rains under a full moon, one can still hear two voices, and the wind soft, sorrowful, and in love still. But the truth hides deeper, buried in the silence of the forest. When the moonlight falls just right upon that clearing, the stone hands shift, just barely fingers brushing, as if remembering what it was to hold warmth. And for a fleeting moment the flowers glow brighter, as though two hearts, long silenced, still beat beneath the curse. The moon does not rise that night, for it has seen enough. 1,000 moons pass, and the world changes, yet the forest remains untouched, guarding the secret of two souls who defied heaven. Seasons melt into one another, snow to spring, fire to rain, and still the clearing breathes with faint silver light. Wanderers who stumble upon it speak of a presence in the air, of whispers that make the heart ache without knowing why. Some fall to their knees, feeling the echo of love that once shattered the stars. The elders call it the wolf's vigil. They say the moon avoids that sky out of shame, unable to gaze upon what her judgment destroyed. But on rare nights when the clouds part and her glow dares to touch the earth, shadows stir beneath the stone. A faint sound ripples through the stillness, a heartbeat, impossibly distant, yet achingly real. It belongs to no beast, no mortal, but to the bond itself, the lingering thread that refused to be severed. From the heart of the statues, a light pulses once more, like memory awakening from an endless dream. The wolves feel it first. Their howls rise in unison, trembling the stars awake. The flowers bloom brighter, their glow bending toward the figures that time forgot. Within the stone, something stirs Kale's spirit, fierce even in death, reaching through eternity to find hers again. And in the faint shimmer of moonlight that dares return, a voice whispers through the trees, soft, ethereal, unmistakably hers. You kept your promise. The air thickens with warmth, and for a fleeting heartbeat, the two stone figures seem to breathe again. Kale's carved hand shifts, pressing closer to hers, as if even death must yield to devotion. The goddess watches from above, silent and still, her glow trembling with remorse. She does not intervene. She cannot. For even divine law bows before the kind of love that dies only to keep living. And so the forest continues to dream of them, night after night. forever caught between tragedy and grace and eternal prayer. Written in stone dot, the forest sleeps under a curtain of silver fog. Yet something ancient still hums beneath its roots, a song of defiance, of love that refused to vanish. The legends say that when the moon grows weary of her own light, she looks down upon the clearing where Kale and Ilara rest, and remembers the night she was defied. On such nights the air feels alive with ghosts of warmth, and the rain that falls tastes faintly of tears. Travelers speak of seeing two figures at the forest's edge, a man cloaked in shadow, his eyes burning like gold embers, and beside him a woman whose glow softens the dark. They never speak, only look toward the sky, as if waiting for something the heavens have forgotten to deliver. Some believe it is punishment eternal. Others say it is mercy disguised. But deeper still, beyond mortal sight, their souls wander between worlds neither alive nor gone, bound by the promise they once made. Ilara walks through the veil of twilight, her hands brushing petals that bloom from starlight. Kale follows, always a step behind, his form a blur between wolf and man. He cannot touch her, yet she feels him in every breath of wind that passes. Kale, she whispers across the distance, her voice trembling through the realms. Do you still remember? His answer arrives as thunder, soft and aching, until the last moon fades. The moon goddess watches from her silver throne, her heart heavy with regret. For though she was divine, she had never known the depth of what she cursed, and in their love she sees her own reflection, an immortal condemned to solitude. So she blesses the forest with eternal twilight, a place where their spirits may meet without the weight of mortal consequence. Their story becomes legend, their love a warning, their tragedy a hymn. And when the night deepens and the world grows quiet, the goddess herself lowers her gaze and whispers, May their hearts forever defy me. The centuries continue to drift like snow across forgotten graves, yet the clearing remains untouched, a sanctuary outside of time. The wolves still guard it, generations born and gone, each carrying the memory of the two who defied the moon. Some say that on the longest night of the year, when the veil between worlds thins, a soft glow awakens between the stone figures. From that light voices emerge tender, aching, eternal. I waited for you, hers whispers woven with rain. I never left, his answers, wrapped in thunder. The wind hushes when they speak. The forest leans closer to listen. Even the stars seem to slow their course, as if unwilling to interrupt the reunion of souls who had once been denied their peace. Ilara's spirit, half divine now, wanders through dreams of what once was a cottage on the forest's edge, a night of storm and mercy. She sees herself kneeling beside the dying wolf, unaware she was touching a king's heart. She smiles through tears, for even knowing the pain that followed, she would do it again. Kale's voice echoes softly beside her, low and steady. If love is a curse, he murmurs, then I will wear it gladly, as long as it keeps you near. Her laughter drifts through the branches, a sound that makes the stars tremble. The moon goddess watches, silent, no longer cruel, but wistful. The love she once condemned has become a force beyond her dominion, a flame that refuses to die. For the first time she lowers her silver crown and lets her tears fall to earth. Each one blooms into a white flower at the lover's feet, petals shimmering with moonlight and sorrow. And when dawn touches the forest, the light bends around the clearing, never crossing it, never daring to disturb what rests within. The story of Cale and Ilara ceases to be a tale of tragedy. It becomes a vow whispered through ages, that love, when true, is the only magic strong enough to haunt eternity. On the eve of 1,000th moon, the forest awakens to a silence so deep it feels sacred. Mist rolls low across the ground, curling around the stone figures at the clearing's heart. For the first time in centuries, the moon rises without hesitation, her glow soft, hesitant, almost apologetic. The wolves gather once more, circling the statues, as if answering an ancient summons. Their eyes glint with silver fire, their breath forming clouds in the cold air. From the heart of the light a pulse begins, a faint, rhythmic thrum that sounds like two hearts remembering how to beat together. The stone cracks softly, dust falling away like old sorrow. Then, as the world holds its breath, Cale's hand moves slow, deliberate, brushing against Ilara's fingers. The mark between them reignites brighter than it ever was. Ilara opens her eyes, not mortal this time, but luminous, her soul wrapped in silver flame. "Cale," she whispers, her voice a tremor of relief and disbelief. He looks at her, his form still carved from ruin and devotion, and smiles. "I told you I would follow," he says. Around them, the wolves bow low, the earth trembling in reverence. The moon's light does not punish them this time. It cradles them, gentle and weeping, like a mother finally forgiving her children. "You've defied me long enough," the goddess's voice murmurs from above, soft with something like admiration. "So be it. Let your curse become your eternity." The air shimmers. Their stone dissolves into mist and memory, leaving behind only their intertwined silhouettes in the grass, two figures made of light, forever dancing between shadow and dawn. The goddess exhales, and for the first time since the beginning her tone carries warmth. Love was never meant to end, it was only meant to be remembered. The forest sighs, the wolves howl once more, and the night bends around them in reverence. For where once there was tragedy, there is now legend, and where once there was curse, there is now forever. The forest belongs to silence once more, but not emptiness. Where Cale and Ilara once stood, the air still hums with warmth, a soft resonance that feels like memory turned into wind. The wolves rest at the edges of the clearing, their fur bathed in the moon's quiet light. The moon goddess watches from above, not as judge, but as witness, and for the first time her glow is gentle, mourning, yet merciful. The forest has changed. The flowers that grew from Ilara's tears now spread across the earth, forming a silver path that glows only at midnight. Travelers who follow it say they hear footsteps ahead, two sets, walking in rhythm, one echoing human, one whispering wolf. Legends endure in the hearts of those who listen. They speak of a love that conquered prophecy, not through victory but through surrender, of a woman who healed a dying beast beneath the rain, and a cursed king who found redemption not in power but in loss. Their tale becomes a song sung by wandering bards, a melody that turns even the coldest night tender. And though time erases empires and crowns, their story refuses to fade, for it was never written in books, only in the language of souls. When storms come and lightning splits the heavens, some claim they see them again, two spirits running through the forest, laughter carried on the wind, unbound at last. In those moments the moon hides behind her clouds, unable to look upon what she once tore apart and what she could never undo. The world forgets their names, but the stars remember. The curse becomes legend, the legend becomes devotion, and devotion becomes eternity. And on the night when the rain falls silver once more, a whisper trembles through the trees, a vow older than gods, soft as breath and eternal as dawn. I found you beneath the rain, and I will find you again. The moon does not rise that night, for it has seen enough.